OpenAI, ChatGPT has created controversy, buzz, excitement, and fear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I feel like conversational AI, voice AI was really the predecessor to that. It was the start of that. It was where we were trying to go, but the technology wasn't at a point that it could become a creator in a sense. I think it creates its own outreach, its own stemming from its own kind of base. Has the two worlds, or will the two worlds merge at some point? Will voice AI become this open AI area
type of thing? I think it will. It might take years. So I think the way I think of it is that really OpenAI and ChatGPT is like an iPhone 1 moment.
Awesome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of It Is What It Is podcast. I am your host, Cody Kelly himself. You can follow me on the gram at cvmk33, on the business page at It Is What It Is _show. And also on the cvmk_global, TikTok, cvmkglobal. You see the recurring thing. And subscribe. You want to like seeing this amazing content, you know what you do. Like, share, comment on the video, hit that notification button. It says the algorithm that you like what you're seeing. You'll keep seeing more of it at CVMK on YouTube. And when it comes to the best sports supplements, you know where to go. I got it right here, the pre-workout superpower, one of them, cvmkglobal.store. Get all your supplement needs. I have an amazing guest with just a wealth of knowledge, and we're going to talk about really where technology is. We're going to shift, and we're going to go from voice AI to open AI. We're going to talk about the evolution of thought strategy there and just the future of the workplace and the workforce. And I have an amazing guest by the name of David McKeague. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderfully, Cody. Yeah. Fantastic day here in Sydney. Yeah.
Just another day. You're lucky. You're in the summer. You're in Sydney, Australia. I'm freezing here in Chicago, Illinois. But it's going to be a great thing. It's great to bring the worlds together. So, David, for the audience that does not know, right? If you could just introduce yourself, kind of what you've done, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. So part of my background is as an electrical engineering, and then another part on the business side. So with an MBA. And I've been building tech businesses for the last 15 years. One of those was a semiconductor one, which AMD acquired. Another one was machine learning on the phone, which was invested by Intel and Warner Brothers and Warner Music. And that was, but the current one, Curious Thing, is all about voice AI. So it's using, the latest in technology to generate new enterprise voice services. And Curious Thing. So I'm a co-founder at Curious Thing, and we're 30 staff. We're very much here in Sydney, and we'll be able to sort of talk about what Curious Thing does in a bit more. But that's me.
Cool. Look, I like it. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about Curious Thing, the whole shebang. We're going there because that's what we do here on Business Entertainment. It is what it is podcast dedicated to business entertainment, where business and entertainment collide. But just a quick word from our sponsors.
There's a hero in all of us waiting to be unleashed. All it takes is just that one last push. Activate the hero within with CVMK Global Supplements. All natural, steroid-free, designed to enhance performance, build muscle, and increase energy. You are unstoppable. You can do this. Become your own hero at www.cvmkglobal.store.
Awesome, and we're back. www.cvmkglobal.store. cvmkglobal.store, where all your fitness, your supplement needs are: pre-workouts, proteins, BCAAs, creatine, and etc. So when we talk about technology, right? Technology has become this umbrella term for any and all new applications. And specifically where the world is, where it's going, where business processes currently exist, and how technology is going to affect it, right? So Curious Thing AI, it sells a unique solution that focuses on voice AI, right? Voice augmentation. There's a lot of different terminology to describe it. But how would you? Because the thing about when you connect with anybody is that you have a definition of a thing, they have a definition of a thing, and you spend most of your time trying to create clarity. What is voice AI?
Okay, I think fantastic question. So one of the things that I found in tech, in new companies, is that you're bringing to the world a new concept, and it doesn't usually. It's not always easy just to sort of pigeonhole it and say, this is what it is. Voice AI is a set of voice services that can replace or augment parts of your call center operation. So what you'll hear, and I think in terms of old world, new world. So if you're a new world, you might say, I don't want a call center. But if you're in the old world, you might say, this is a piece of technology that I can plug into my call center. Whether people are calling out or calling in, it's really a set of voice services. So let's say a payment reminder, right? So it's a part of the flow, and I need to remind everyone. Well, that would be a task to be done. Whereas if I was calling the company, and so now you're sort of thinking it's a call center, but some people think of it in different ways. So you might say, okay, I want 5 smart people, and I want the voice AI to do the front end, or it could be it's a normal IVR, but what I'm really replacing is like type 8 complain about rubbish bins, and it's actually the person that role actually behind it. So one thing that we've seen, which I've found with voice AI, normally, if I said the word conversational AI, people might think, oh, that's a chatbot. Voice AI is around voice services. It's in the cloud voice services. So using all the latest stuff in on the cloud side. And in fact, the data actually out of it can go into your CRM. So it's sort of not your granddaddy's call center. It's like a reimagination of what we can do with voice AI services in the modern enterprise. Now, the other part, it's very lightweight. So we have customers where 8 people in the company. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a big company to actually use these services at all. So again, so in the future there'll be a thing around voice AI services. It's really got nothing to do with whether you're a large company or a big company. It's really what are those services that you need in your business to be able to conduct. So appointment setting would be a set of services. Debt reminder, a set of services. After hours, we recently had one international customer out of Europe ring us, so they want it all in Italian. But basically, it's after hours, but with an FAQ. So it's not just a IVR recorder. It's solving people's problems. And what I think that does, and there has been so voice AI is a set of cloud services which you can plug into your business to solve business problems, right? So there is this sort of old world, new world. So if you were a big bank, you might say, well, that's my call center. And then we go, okay, well, yes, and this is the way it would fit into that. But if you're a small, medium business, then you might think of it differently. The CEO says, I'm missing leads. I really need, an agent to be taking business leads overnight, but I'd like to add value around FAQ, so it's not just lever. And so it becomes a reimagination of what we think, these things look like.
I agree. I think that to sum it up, so it is the solution for lower value tasks with the augmentation of human capital by having this voice channel. It would interact like we're engaging now and could handle lower value initiatives.
Repeatable tasks,
right.
So that the business owner can focus on, the tasks that need to be done. That's quite right. And I think the other thing that we've seen, which is just, to me, very interesting, is that many of our customers name it something. So it's like, Mary and Fred.
Right.
So these are really like digital workers, digital virtual workers, including one which I like, and I think that we really forget about this, welcoming all new customers. So if you think of it as from a customer perspective, how often do we sign them up and take the check, and we never actually thank them for becoming a customer. In a part of this voice, so it's voice AI services done in a voice, but imagine a world where we're starting to have more and more digital workers that actually help us run our business with those smaller, simpler tasks, so that staff can become more productive.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense, and the value add is there. I think here's the pushback, right?
Yeah.
Here's where technology becomes still a human business, right? How warm, and what I think there's three things. How intelligent can the service be, right? Because a lot of times when you think of a voice, VoIP, right? If you think of, you think of some type of robotic feel, and, hello, Cody, something that doesn't sound organic, and then it asks you to repeat yourself, it actually repeat your name. It doesn't catch up on human cues like inflection, seriousness, humor, because AI can't, interpret the soul. It can't, the intent of something, not the direction of something, right? So, how intelligent can it be? And then B, how warm can you make it, right? Because you want to still simulate this human
piece.
Right.
Okay, so let me start with that second one, because that actually is very important. So we never pretend to be a person. So this is an AI that you're working with. Because if you pretend to be a person and you can't pull it off fully, then people get very, very upset. So imagine a new digital worker with constraints, right? So it's now what we can do these days is, when we're in a different world, and we'll come to Transformers and OpenAI, that basically in the old days, 2 years ago, it would be word hunting or spotting a word. So, are you an American citizen? Yes or no. That's all right. So if you said maybe, it would say you got to keep on saying, right? Yes or no. That's all I know. And that inability to understand actually what's going on, what the response was, actually is a huge barrier. That's actually one of the big barriers. So what we do is we use a bunch of these new techniques. So if you said, maybe, then it would classify itself actually as, where you are and keep on going. So you can have a natural conversation. I think the other bit is, from a business perspective, what we found is that you do want to name it something and give it a persona. So you which might be just a helpful. Right. So we supply what we would call standard voice, but also premium voice services. So we can tune it. So we sit down with the customer, and you can do tricks. So you might think, let's say we're building a nurse right now. This is like the hospital nurse, not the real nurse. So we're not doing nursing. We're just sort of the person in the hospital, and so therefore that might be, an American female, voice, right? That's rather than, could be male, right? Then it's just up to. But you want to build a caring persona, a thoughtful caring persona, which is so. I'm here to ask you some questions. I've got some limitations, right? But this is what I can do for you. I think there's another sort of aligned piece with this, is that every conversation needs to have a purpose, and it needs to have a purpose on both sides. So there has to be something that's going on for the person, and information both exchanged both ways. The other parts of the interaction is that if we were to call someone from the hospital, we would SMS them. We would set it up beforehand, so that it's the hospital. Sam will call you, and you can get a message 20 minutes before. The hospital will be calling you in 20 minutes. Would it be appropriate for us to call? So you have to take various aspects out of the human thing. Just randomly calling someone is inappropriate. So give people control. Don't pretend to be a person. This is something else with more. Have a strong purpose actually for it. So there's got to be something in it for you. So if you're going to complain about your rubbish bins, then you need to. But then you can use these new technologies to make the conversation much more natural. And I think that what people have gotten very frustrated, and there's a very bad, when we had the world. So we had, where if I am talking to it and it can only accept yes or no, that's a real killer of a conversation. We also now support many languages, so we can sort of talk about that. So we need to building these digital workers that solve the business problem, that actually have this ability to almost brand this new digital worker that represents your company, and that so setting it up beforehand is really important. And the new technology means that we can have much more natural conversations.
With this natural conversation, so I get that it's taken on now this persona. You want to preserve the integrity of the technology and the person that you're connecting with by addressing it, that it is not another human being on the phone. That's quite complex, because depending on the type of conversation, at what point do you say that, or is it automatically picked up on? I think is okay, fine. Let's say, great example, nursing, or nursing, hey, just reminder, your appointment is with Dr. Superman, Dr. Superman on Thursday. Is that still okay? Are you still confirming? Okay, great. This is what you need to bring. Your 2 forms of ID. Do you have those available with you? Have you uploaded? But how intelligent, and this is where I think the shift goes in, because depending on his level of intelligence or his level of engagements, it can enter into multiple case studies. If it's just, we've evolved past yes or no, but if it can really have a fluid conversation, now we're talking about something that potentially could be standalone. Obviously, it will connect to a human being at some point, but we want something that could operate like if we implemented this in front of some type of robotics that engages in public safety, they could potentially have a traffic stop and go through all the standard protocols, because it can engage with the human being, because it can actually understand it. Has it evolved to that point where this thing is beyond decision tree learning?
Yeah, no, so it has, but it's not an infinite conversation. So it's not a conversation. It's got to be a business-orientated conversation about a particular topic. But I think given time, we will see. So I think the way we think of it is there's templated conversations, right? So with lots of thinking that's gone into each part of the conversation. So and so you can think of the conversation as almost a package or a product actually in itself. So things like if the person swears, what should you do within it? So that's sort of bundled into it. So you can, but it's not an infinite conversation. Sure. It's actually a purposeful business. This is, I think, where at this stage of the technology is it's very important to have a strong business purpose where, I'm calling and I want to, if we think of OpenAI and ChatGPT, how then, and that similar type of technology that's underneath it, will we get to a point where will this technology get to a point where you might be able to do a diagnostics or something, or just have a free-flowing conversation? It's over time, this technology may get there, but it's just not today.
That's fair. And I want to take that pivot into OpenAI and how the potential marriage between the two can exist. And then we'll talk about the future of Curious Thing, but a quick word from our sponsors.
I literally just tried the best pre-workout on the planet. With Superpower pre-workout, you have increased focus and a power boost every single time you work out. It's not only packed with 225 milligrams of caffeine, but it also has citrulline and creatine. It's insane how much energy and focus I had during my workouts. If you're ready to take your workouts to the next level, then ditch your current pre-workout and get the Superpower pre-workout to be your own hero.
Awesome, everybody. www.cvmkglobal.store. So when we talk about the future, right? OpenAI, ChatGPT has created controversy, buzz, excitement, and fear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I feel like conversational AI, voice AI was really the predecessor to that. It was the start of that. It was where we were trying to go, but the technology wasn't at a point that it could become a creator in a sense. I think it creates its own outreach, its own stemming from its own kind of base. Has the two worlds, or will the two worlds merge at some point? Will voice AI become this open AI area
type of thing? I think it will. It might take years. So I think the way I think of it is that really OpenAI and ChatGPT is like an iPhone 1 moment. So it's the beginning. And if we remember the iPhone 1, it was 2.75G and it didn't have an app store, right? So it has sort of severe issues to do with hallucination. So it can write a fantastic essay, but it can understand a complicated response. But there are, when it's in its area of competence, like, write me an essay, do something, it's really fantastic. But if you gave it an instruction like invent a new energy storage capacitor, it hallucinates. So it sort of makes it up and has a really good go at it, but it's not inventing anything. It's just taking it out of its pattern recognition. So the other bit with ChatGPT is it's poor on facts. So if you said do some maths, it would probably get it wrong, but it looked really good. So this technology and OpenAI, they're very smart people, and Google, and I notice, Google with Google Bard and Microsoft. So it's really caught everyone's imagination. But I would just counsel that it's really like the iPhone 1, 2.75G with no app store moment. So we're seeing a glimpse into what's possible, right? So it's very powerful technology, but it will take time to make these technologies work in a way that society is, finds useful. So it will take time. With Curious Thing, we've really focused on business, so in a business purpose, rather than ring and get some advice. So we don't. We have lines like never pretend to be a person. We are proud of being, a voice
ethical
agent.
Yeah.
We're delivering value. We need to, in every interaction, deliver value both to the business but also to the person having the conversation. So you've got to sort of get both sides going. But what ChatGPT shows is how far this technology can go. So will we get to a point where we're interacting with there's two groups of people that have approached me in absolute fear about ChatGPT.
Sure.
So one of them is software programmers. So they go, my God, my world is finished. Yeah, that's right. And the other one is professional writers. Now, in the professional writers, I think if you're a high quality professional writer, I think this is helpful. But if you are wanting to come up with lists of things, like give me, 10 objections to, to 10 sales objections to something, give me 5 of this, it's very good at. So it's very good at some tasks, not at other tasks. One of the hard parts then in building these systems is to sort of build, psychological lines, which says, now listen, this thing is very good at summarizing the news, but it's not very good at these other ones because people get very disappointed. So I think there's two parts to this thing. Some people in white collar jobs, so let's say software programmer, gets very worried and very threatened about this technology. So that somehow that's going to happen. And the question is, so Microsoft has Copilot, right? So that how do we get a human working with this technology in a synergistic way? And that's quite complicated. That might take quite a bit of time. So what we've learned is you need to establish the barriers, the constraints. This can do this, it'll do it really well. These are its tasks that it's very good at. But if you get across the line, so within if we look at ChatGPT, if it in many political things, it'll say, I don't want to talk about that. Right? So it's got these. You got to build barriers to know why we're talking to stuff. And I think that it shows what's possible. It shows that it can be flexible. But one of the big arts is keeping the purpose, building the barriers so that the person interacting knows what to do with it. And in some areas, it will touch deep fear and like the software programmer. How should, if I was a software programmer, how would I use this to enhance my skills? And that's a whole set of work from a product perspective to allay the fears and get. So I think it's the beginning of something really big, but it may take a decade to happen. I know everyone's excited about it all being implemented and it'll all be here now. And it sort of is, but I think these usage, like when should I use it? When shouldn't I use it? Can I trust it? Right? These issues, will it do something that I really want for my business? These are big issues, and they will take quite a lot of time.
I think you nailed it on the head. I think I think it is the iPhone 1, and with the iPhone 1, you get the iPod that no longer is in existence.
Right.
Because the iPhone 1 did not have a way to store, music.
That's right.
Music players. So I think we are in this developmental phase, and over time, because of the case studies and the experience and the demand from the market through trial and error, we'll get to see what OpenAI, what Voice AI, and how they need to merge, and what this new reality needs to look like. Right now, it's just
which task. That's right. So people are playing with it. So if in CNET they started writing articles in ChatGPT, they got into a lot of trouble actually, because I think they were trying to describe compound interest. But if you look at BuzzFeed, so then they got into a lot of, let's not do that. But then BuzzFeed has started using it, and they're open about that. Around lists, so a lot of the core marketing material, using it to generate. So therefore, what we're sort of seeing is, you see this over here, it doesn't really work. That's very dangerous from a business perspective to be badly describing compound interest. It's probably not a very good, but it looks good, but it really it's not right. Whereas it's fantastic at certain tasks. And so I think with all of this technology, so with Voice AI, understanding, so what we do at Curious Thing, we keep to the enterprise, we keep to purposeful conversations, we keep to, these parts of workflow, and we're very conscious about that, about doing that. And that's to make it a successful business, conversation that's going on, both from the business perspective and what we've learned, and also from the user perspective. So the user needs to feel that they got something done, right, and the business feels. So you don't want, if it was just a one-sided thing, then actually it doesn't work so well. So it's got to be a mutual interaction where you're getting something out of it, and you need to be able to do it efficiently and quickly. So having anything that rings you and starts talking to you for 20 minutes, you'll go crazy. You want it to be, okay, because I've got and I think that this task to be done. I've got a task to be done. I need to complain about this, and I need to share this, or I need to learn a little bit more, right? So how do we make that very quickly? One of the things that I would say about voice, which is very unique, is that it's very good at open questions. So tell me about, so you might say, here's the interaction, right? And then tell me about how you're feeling, or tell me about what you think of the service. And then the person, can elaborate. And what we find is that when someone talks to an open question, it's very different than talking to a chatbot. So you can elicit deeper information.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that I see where the potential partnering can happen. I think because companies are aware that another shift is coming from a technological standpoint. They're almost 5 years ahead of themselves.
Right.
And they're doing things that is without justification. Right. I feel like every tech company has gone through a mass layoff, right? And it could be because they had an redundance of roles. There was a lot of overlap and whatnot. But it's sending a very interesting signal. Now, when I look at it and I still see, was it 5% GDP growth or over 500,000 jobs added? And last month, it scratches my head because I don't, because it's like two things are being true at the same time.
Yes.
So what is the future of work? Like, what is the future
what does it look like? And I think so one thought, just to go to the Microsoft announcement, because I thought it was interesting. So at the beginning, he says businesses want to do more with less, right? So that's our customers want to do more with less. Then they announced that is it 10,000 or 12,000, the layoff. And then they announced the $10 billion into OpenAI, actually in the same statement, right? So almost. Like it wasn't the world has shifted, I just need to fire a lot of people. It's actually the world has changed we have too many people, but we also need to invest in OpenAI, and we need to rethink. And so I think the future, so the nature of the enterprise doesn't change, right? So it's all about finding customers, helping customers, delivering value to customers. So that's all. But how we get there and what are the skills that we need to get there? So at the same time that they are putting off people, they need to be investing actually in digital workers. Now, I think that the thing about so that's where it gets complicated. In fact, one thing to escape inflation, structural inflation, is through enterprise productivity. And enterprise productivity, I think that we haven't really thought deeply enough about. It's like how do we do more with the staff we have, right? So, in the future, we're going to have digital workers. So, if we think of the metaverse, I think we're already in the metaverse. So we're going to have, Mary over here, helps, and then we'll have Sam, who's really good at, customer support, right? So, and these are scalable workers. And then the skills sets shift, that you need to have as an employee. So that actually is disturbingly complicated. And just because one of the most interesting shifts, and we see this in the ChatGPT, is that white collar people who thought that automation wasn't going to do anything. And I come back to the software programmer. A friend of mine, who is a software programmer, Python, he's saying, David, this is the end of my world, right? You go, well, no, actually this automation, what you need to do is lift yourself up and somehow use these tools. So I'm not saying this is easy. This is actually pretty confronting. But this means that we've always thought that these this productivity will just be for, the low jobs. But we've entered one where higher intellectual work can be assisted. And that's actually pretty confronting and pretty complicated. And so I just think that this is the reason why some of these shifts take time. We've got to bring people along. People need to understand what these technologies. People need to say this works great for this. It's actually terrible at this other stuff. And I think that what we need, unfortunately, there's some wonderful books actually on human psychology, and if we go all the way back to Alvin Toffler, 1972, Future Shock. The human mind actually has some limits. So, our mind is a 25-watt light bulb. We can process 7 things at the same time. We actually are not very good at multitasking. We actually really like to do one thing at a time. So, if we take the rapid velocity of information and tap the mind with, here's a new bit of information. It will, and this is 1960s research, so this is 1972, we knew this was going to happen, is that decision-making gets worse, mental anxiety grows, and we sort of suffer on critical decisions. So I think that we will need, over the next decade, we're going to need to work out what are humans good at, what are these machines, and renegotiate our relationship with them.
Renegotiate a social contract between us and automation, or AI, artificial intelligence. That's an interesting shift. I agree. Your pushback is going to be more from the traditionalists. They'll see it as, how do we negotiate with a non-life form? But at the same time, we've created this form, and it is really a derivative, or we need to possibly rethink AI as an extension of who we are, as an extension of us, because we
right. And what we've found is you need to do this carefully, build something that's useful,
right,
that's purposeful, that people really understand. They go, okay, this thing is helping me on this task, which I don't want to do. So keep to that. As soon as you get into the, I'm going to help a programmer do their job better, or I'm going to do this, it's intriguing. So I think that some of these shifts we all think, ChatGPT will be put into Bing and then we'll all be using it and change. But actually, it might take, 10 years for people to work out how to use some of these new tools. But they haven't even built them all fully yet. We need to put guardrails. Like, this is helping me write my document, right? So you go, okay, I understand what this is doing. Because if people will get confused and then they can get anxious about this.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, look, what, and last question, I know we kind of run out of time. What is the future of Curious Thing? Where is it? Where is it trying to go? There's a lot of now buzz, a lot of competitors that have entered into the space that is promising the same thing. And I think that there's been a lot of spinoff into other niches without a true development and a framework of reference. So where is CT? Where is Curious Thing?
Yeah, I think, so we've focused the enterprise, we're not going to change, enterprise applications, parts of enterprise workflow that can be, that solve real problems. So that is not going to change. I think that where we can go to how that information is integrated into the enterprise, even for very small enterprises. So how do you spin these things up very quickly? How do I solve my problem? How do I do more and more languages? So we're going to keep to that as our North Star, right? So we won't be. But there's still a lot of work in always incrementally improving, around, speed to deploy, the value proposition, the data actually out of it. We just keep around, business applications for solving people's problems. So we would keep strongly to that.
Perfect. Well, look, I appreciate it. Have an amazing time. Look, if y'all want to keep seeing amazing content, you know what you got to do. Subscribe, YouTube, CVMK, Instagram, cvmk_global. It is what it is _show, CVMK 33, TikTok, CVMK Globe, and where the best supplements are, www.cvmkglobal.store. David, if they wanted to reach out to you, David, and they wanted to connect, they wanted to see this voice AI conversational intelligence, where can they connect with you?
Actually, LinkedIn is a great place. So David McKeague or David at curiousthing.io is another.
Perfect. Y'all reach out to David, hit him up on the email, David at curiousthing.io, or hit him up on LinkedIn. Say, look, I dig the podcast. I heard you said I'm interested in learning more. And if you want to keep seeing that, you know what you got to do. Hit me up. I'm everywhere. Literally everywhere. But until next time, guys, thanks. Thanks for watching. And if you want to keep seeing amazing content, please subscribe, share, and like at CVMK.